Hello, 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 hello. आ रही है? ठीक.
Namaskar, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Center for Maritime Economy and Connectivity, CMEC, established by Ministry of Port Shipping and Waterways at RIS, has been conducting these Maritime Knowledge Lecture Series, and this is the 11th talk in this series. And I am happy to see that every time the response has been growing. These talks are primarily to generate awareness and undertake stakeholder integration with respect to the maritime objectives outlined in our Maritime India Vision 2030 and Maritime Amritkal Vision 2047. Well, river economy is the very essence of our life. सब लोगों ने सुना है जल ही जीवन है. नदियाँ हमारी सभ्यता की जननी है और हमारी अर्थव्यवस्था की धमनियाँ हैं. इनकी पवित्रता और समृद्धि एक दूसरे पर निर्भर करती है. So, in a sense, rivers are revered here and almost everywhere in the world. They are the part of the civilization history. They are the arteries of the economies, and we need to sustain them for sustaining the economy and mutual dependence. We are aware that India is blessed with 111 national waterways. 111. This number is a phenomenal number. The number of highways we have in India are close to around 600 national highways. We have a highway expert who has worked in National Highway Authority of India and now is with the Indian Waterway Authority of India. And we are indeed blessed to have these 111 national waterways. Out of that, 32 have become operational right now. And the total length of these national waterways is 20,000 plus kilometers. So it's a huge natural resource and asset which has been blessed by the nature to our country. So with this sustained effort from all the stakeholders, India has recorded 145 metric ton of cargo movement on these national waterways in the last financial year. There has been a CAGR, compounded annual growth rate of close to 20% plus over the last 10 years or so. And much more has to be done because you've seen that how important and how efficient and how sustainable it is to carry cargo as well as passenger movement through these national waterways. So to unravel this all this opportunities, these opportunities for all the stakeholders who are into the system, the logistics stakeholders, the industry, the academia, and the government, of course. To unravel the opportunities of the river economy, we have a very eminent panel today. I am indeed very thankful to Professor Vinod Tare Professor Emeritus, Professor in Environmental Engineering and Management at the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. We are honored to have you here, sir. He is a civil engineer and he started teaching at IIT Kanpur much long back in 1970s, 80s, early 80s. So he's been there and he's been guiding numerous masters and doctoral dissertations. Besides that, the water harvesting, storage, conservation, and anything related to water has been his passion. Whatever you see, you know, the environmental friendly passenger coach toilet system in the being used in the railways or houseboats or communities or at the Kumbh Mela, the recently concluded Kumbh Mela, has been engineered and designed through his inspiration, through his team. So a great round of applause to him. Professor Tare is also the founding head of Sea Ganga. Sea Ganga is the Center for Ganga River Basin Management and Studies. It's a brain trust devoted to river science and river basin management. The center is committed to restoring and conserving rivers and water resources through collation of information and knowledge, research and development, planning, monitoring, education, advocacy, and engagement with stakeholders. Whole lot of activities. So he's here to guide us today on this aspect. As I mentioned, we also have Mr. Ashutosh Gautam, who's currently the member technical and member traffic and logistics in charge at the IWAI, Inland Waterway Authority of India. He is just coming after a meeting with the Honorable Minister at the barrage itself. There was a movement or there was a proposal to establish tourism or a passenger movement on the Yamuna, and we are indeed thankful to you to have come here. He is again a Masters of Technology in Civil Engineering from IIT Delhi, and he is a Fellow of Advanced Management Program in Infrastructure Management from Indian School of Business. He's got vast infrastructure experience. As I mentioned, he's worked at NHAI, and he's also honorary visiting faculty at Indian Academy of Highway Engineers, IIT Kanpur, IIT Gandhinagar, and so many of these prestigious institutes. We are very thankful to you to have taken out this time. And the lead speaker for today is Shri Rajiv Ranjan Mishra. Well, he's a noted personality in this field, as you are all aware, and you are all eager to listen to him. He's also coming after a very long day where he was present at the Vigyan Bhavan for the function of National Water Awards, which the President of India was gracing today, and he was a part of the jury. He's an officer, IAS officer from the 1987 batch. He's worked as the Director General of National Mission for Clean Ganga in the rank of Secretary to the Government of India, and spearheaded the Namami Ganga program from 2018 to 2021. Well, many of you know that he has changed the discourse of this program, developing it into an integrated multi-sectoral initiative involving a model framework for river regeneration in India. So he's brought several policies together, and while I was discussing with him, there were several policies which were there in his mind. So he was, the PPP, the different type of PPP aspects, and he'll be unraveling some of these mysteries and some of these opportunities for a large number of stakeholders today. He's also written a book, Ganga, Reimagining, Rejuvenating, Reconnecting, which gives a unique account of the enormity of the challenge, institutional processes and reforms which led to the momentum and impact on river health and how it could be sustained. Well, he's led National Mission to a large number of awards and many other things. He is also an alumni from IIT Kanpur, and as per his you know, experience and account, we are indeed very happy and thankful to you, sir, to have graced this occasion. May I now not stand between you and the audience and request you to take forward the lead speaker talk today, your talk today. Thank you, sir.
If it is good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for having this conference and for me to join a distinguished set of panelists as well as the audience. A great opportunity to meet some of the old friends. In fact, some very old friends I could see here and exchange. Let me tell you before I start, I am not a kind of expert in inland waterways. I am not a kind of insider from this sector. Of course, I know I have some experience of water sector, but yes, while dealing with those water sector activities, I also had a chance to have interaction with inland waterways and this sector on the sides. In fact, while coming here, I was thinking of, was thinking about it that what I can contribute. So I was trying to bring, maybe we talk about inland waterways, where we stand, and there is a phenomenal growth taking place in last few years, but also look at a view from outside, a kind of overall view of the river. And as Mr. Sisir very rightly told about river, I think somehow rivers are a much larger thing. And while talking to some of the colleagues outside, we talk about inland waterways, we talk about water resource engineering, we talk about drinking water. These are all users. But we should not forget what is the parent, what is the original thing. The river is original. I mean, we all settled around the bank of the river. And what we are talking about inland waterways, there must have been a time when human beings actually used it for transport with rudimentary boats with their own style, and they tried to work. So I think it's not that it's something very alien to our culture, but it was very much there. But of course, I mean, it has gone through its own cycle of growth and decay. And so when we talk of, in this discussion, what I am trying to talk about, little bit about the historical significance. I am also going to discuss about the larger perspective from the river management point of view and how navigation and that larger perspective can thrive together. I will just quote one or two international example, and then having called me, you cannot escape listening about river Ganga and Namami Gange. So I will bore you with some slides on Namami Gange and how it fits in this discourse on navigation. So if you have come to listen to a very hardcore technical discussion on inland waterways, maybe you will be disappointed, because I will talk about that, but I will also give little different perspective from river point of view, because that's something which perhaps I have little more experience. And if time permits, I will also talk about PPP, because resource mobilization is important. We are growing, but we have to grow much more. So how exactly we can generate, and I have some experience in that sector, so I will share some of the interesting things about that. So, I mean, we all know, I mean, in the audience of this type, we don't have to remember you or remind you about the Lothal and then how it all was there in the Indus Valley civilization. If you look at, I think there was a very nice discussion outside where we find the documentation of these things. So there are lots of ancient books where you actually find about discussion about navy, discussion about shipping, discussion about this thing. And very nice account is also there in some of the international travelers in those days who traveled to India, and then in their writing they also talk about our shipbuilding industry, our coastline, our navy, and other things. So that's important. At one point of time, in the ancient time, it was quite well developed. And I mean, this also impacted lots of other things, lots of trade, lots of lifestyle. So I think perhaps when we look at this entire thing, there is need to actually document them more scientifically and more systematically. Because it's not that we don't have knowledge, there are lots of people who write books and who have written about it, but perhaps in a systematic way there is need to account. See, I will just recount, there is, the Ministry of Jal Shakti has 2 years back, they set up a committee which I chaired about water heritage structures. So I think we have so much of water heritage structures, the Aniket of Grand Kaveri, Aniket of Cholas, so many things, so many step wells, we all know. I mean, I am just slightly digressing. So perhaps there is need to do little bit more formal documentation of these practices. In that water heritage structure also, we tried to bring that, and we are trying, I think the ministry is trying to involve the district and state administration to actually use these structures to inculcate some sense of sensitization and then help them in preserving it. We also tried to do something about river cultural mapping of river Ganga, and through intakes, mapping the built heritage, mapping the natural heritage, and also mapping the intangible heritage. So that documentation is complete and it's available, and I'm happy that NMCG is now doing similar exercise for river Yamuna. So I think these are the things, but ultimately not many people still know about these available documents, and they will be very good for research. So I think perhaps RIS can also deal with that, and I can help you in getting access to some of these things. Something on similar lines, and when we were doing that project, there was a lot of discussion about, Intech was telling that there is, I mean, perhaps there is need to document the different styles of boats, ancient styles. Different area had different way of building these boats and ships, so perhaps that could be a very interesting thing to do that. Lots of our festivals, lots of our religious rituals, lots of our old yatras actually are linked with maritime trade and then practices, so perhaps again there is a need to do that. And some of our, I think this suggestion was also coming in discussion, some of these ancient practices can actually revive, and perhaps there is need to celebrate some of these days. See, Ganga is a kind of holy river, and lots of cultural rituals, Ganga Dasara and other things get celebrated. But in a more directed way, there is need to perhaps celebrate some of these things and then have a look at it. There is certainly a need of more research on that. There are lots of slides. I will escape some of the slides in the interest of time. This is a general map, and it shows the interesting part or the most important part of waterways have been Brahmaputra, Ganga, Ganga's tributaries, and also southern rivers were basically deltas of Godavari, Krishna. I also had a chance to work in that delta area, so I have seen, so that's again something which is important. Now I think these are the data, and I think he already told about 111 declared waterways. Cargo movement is not only inland, it's overall thing perhaps. And then operational, I mean, even if they are there, if they are not operational, it doesn't mean. I'm happy 29 has become 32, you just said, so I think these things are happening. And so this is where we stand. We had a very large industry, and in that slide, let me also mention you, India started, the first steamer started in 1819, and 100 years, lots of Indian companies, steamer travel, the steam engine came, and all those things started. But while there was very systematic attempt during British time to develop certain canals for navigation like Buckingham Canal and some other things, lots of ideas, lots of development also happened. Also one negative thing was that there was a kind of imposition that the ownership of these companies, the Indian owned shipping companies were discouraged, and due to certain regulation and all that, I think slowly the Indian shipbuilding industry also started decaying, and then they had to depend. So I think that's a kind of thing it went through. Now, I think the importance, again, we need not overemphasize. I think this is fuel efficient. We are in the age of climate change, and we see the impact. So certainly there is a case for promoting inland waterways. This is cheaper, this is fuel efficient, this is energy efficient. So I think from all these aspects, we have lots of advantages of promoting it. But I mean, it cannot be all rosy, so you also have lots of issues, especially when you deal with the Indian rivers. I think the lack of depth could be this thing. Smaller rivers are seasonal, so you will also have a kind of challenge there. There will be issue of lack of depth. There will also be issue of certain other kind of disruptions, the seasonal nature, etc. So I think these challenges come. And again, Indian rivers are little different from the European rivers or some of the other rivers, like especially Ganga and Ganga basin rivers, that they meander, they change their course. So lot of infrastructure which you develop, you also have to be actually, you have to deal with that, because river is original, river is a natural entity, and it has mind of its own, and it changes. Sometimes these changes are also because of anthropological pressures and impacts. So I think that as well happens. So ultimately what happens, you have to integrate several things. I mean, certain area pollution is also issue, and we have to go. So I am now, next few slides, I am going to talk about how we can have an integrated river basin management, and how we can fit very nicely the navigation sector also, so that we all work together and move together. Now, Professor Tare is here, and I am really very happy that he has been chosen to chair this discussion, because he will recollect in 2013 when I was Joint Secretary in the Ministry of Environment and Forest, and then perhaps a group of a consortium of IITs were given the task of developing Ganga River Basin Management Plan. 7 IIT consortium and several other institutes also joined. And we were working at that time to get it finalized. In 2015, they made the first GRBMP. So a kind of basin approach also started being discussed, that let's be holistic, because looking at piecemeal approach of constructing an STP here, STP there, and then looking at a nala and then trying to clean it will not work. Let's understand the basin in scientifically and look at what exactly happens. I will come about that also. So I think basin as a single entity, I will come back to this again and again, and can we work together, as you have been saying about all the stakeholders have to come together and exchange ideas. So I think this is a kind of formal way of looking at things, and then look at how we can work together and change. So idea is, I think we were discussing, we have to grow, but how we grow is important. Is our growth going to create some problem for other stakeholders? Some trade-off will be there, but can we manage it? What can be the way to manage it? So I think that's the kind of challenge, and that's the kind of task we have to do it. So I think we are looking at a kind of basin report, and I will show you one or two international examples and come back to the Ganga example and then see how things happen. So I think a state of river basin report. We have GRBMP in 2015. Lot of work has happened in the Namami Gange. Can we come up with a state of Ganga basin report? I mean, some report has come, different state also report has come. I think he's founder, head of Sea Ganga, and Sea Ganga comes with this kind of report. But can these reports be owned by government at the top level, and can it be done in an intergovernmental manner? Because then it will be valid, then it will be implementable. It will not be just a kind of academic exercise. So that's something which is important. Looking at Danube River Basin. Now if you see, ICPDR, the International Commission for the Protection of the Danube River, I mean, when we started Namami Gange program in 2014, I mean, there was these were the examples to look at. So we looked at Danube, Rhine, and Murray-Darling Basin, and some other examples also. Now, this is a river which is very long river, very large river, larger than, I mean, longer than River Ganga, goes through several countries in Europe. Again, there is a lot of, if you look at the scale of development also, from upstream to downstream, there is a lot of variation. But see, there are two kinds of plan. One is the river basin management plan, and this system that you plan for 6 years and then update and go for another 6 years. This is the approach perhaps I have been saying. This is something which will actually make us move towards tangible achievement and tangible targets. So I think this is the approach. This kind of thing is important. And navigation is treated as a water use, which is, it is, because river is primary, river basin is primary entity to be protected, conserved, and then out of several uses, this is also an use. But again, this is a technical subject. I mean, there is a lot of knowledge Mr. Gautam is here, he's more knowledgeable. There are lots of new terminology which is different from other sector. So I think they will also have to make a kind of plan of their own. So this rehabilitation maintenance master plan, several plans are there, but actually you have to have a kind of joint plan. And it will help you, because if that plan is there, perhaps I think you will be able to also get help in solving the problem of depth of water and flow of water in the river, and then what kind of channel depth you need. So here they have tried to do this kind of thing. Routes tourism also finds place in that. It's not only about water quality and quantity or hydraulic engineering, but several things are there as part of that. And similarly, if you look at Rhine, I mean, again, a major river, they also do the similar kind of thing, like to have the joint management plan. Here they have a shared working group, and you have got two commissions, International Commission for the Protection of Rhine, ICPR, and also Central Commission for Navigation of the Rhine. And they work together. Now, if you look at, I mean, these are the key issues. I mean, we work in a sector, we look at our own plan, but what exactly is the action plan for flood protection, for ecological flow, sediment? Because see, different stakeholders will come up with their own plan. The river is same. The river has to deal with different stakeholders and different plan and different activities. So how we actually reconcile and do that? So pollution, water quality, and institutional coordination is something important. I'm not saying that we are not having any institutional coordination or we don't have institution. We have every ministry, everywhere we have. But this is something which we have to look at things in a little holistic manner and then do. Now, why this is important? I mean, Ryan, I will also like to tell you, we were discussing about Ganga cleaning. I mean, it's not that Rhine was always like this, because I have visited Danube and Rhine also 40 years back, 35, 40 years back. There was a huge industrial pollution in Rhine. And I think there was a kind of incident which actually stricken the whole country, and then because I think lakhs and lakhs of fisheries, they were killed because of industrial pollution. That was the state of that river. And suddenly political priority comes, that brings lot of investment, lot of money, and lot of close monitoring. So that started changing, and then they started doing this kind of cyclic approach. And now, but if you go and ask them, I mean, 2 years back also I had a chance, they say now we are working upon the new pollutants and then we are looking at nature-based solution, we are looking at some of the structures, whether they are really needed. So I think the new challenges come, so it's a kind of continuous process which they keep on doing it. So I think here you see there are lots of, again, all these basins, they bring a kind of a status report, because that's a kind of reality check where we are. Because this question, Ganga kab saaf hogi? I mean, this is a question which everywhere, if you start talking, log puchte hain. And the people will ask, when will you clean Ganga? So I think this kind of a status report, and then sometimes even if you are moving in the right direction without any such kind of report, you feel that you have gone back, because people, jinke paas jo bhi impression hai, us hisab se log bolte hain. So this is something which is important. Now you have got several things. Here important, I mean, they also gave a target that we have to get back Solomon fish in the river, and that was a challenge. Can be, and we are actually doing it, can be linked river health of Ganga with some keystone species, and Gangetic dolphin is the one. That's our national aquatic animal, and then Project Dolphin also has been launched by Honorable Prime Minister 3 years back. So I think these are some of the things we are doing in the similar way, and shared basin scale planning. So flood, so there is a flood plan, there are different kinds of things. This is again just to set the thing. Coming to Indian context, this is a large basin. I mean, and we are talking about international basin. Transboundary issues are also there. And here you see some of these things are basically different river gauging stations. So already our inland waterway exists in, the structure is already there. And what government is trying to do is further improve, further deepen, further modernize, and do several other kinds of activities also. Sometimes not just the cargo transport, but also looking at passenger, looking at several other things. Now, quickly I will go through some of the experience of Ganga and then how it is related. Again, this slide I am not going to explain. Idea is how we moved from piecemeal, a small river-centric approach to a kind of basin approach. This is a kind of, this slide summarizes the journey from 1985 to the present day. So I think slowly from 2009, 2010 onwards, we started moving towards basin approach. Ganga River Basin Authority was formed, and then I talked about the Ganga River Basin Management Plan was prepared. That was very helpful when we came to start Namami Gange program to make it holistic, to actually give. I don't think we have done everything which was written in the plan, but actually it is a permissible, it is a kind of enabling framework. It actually gives you opportunity to decide priority and invest in that area. So I think that is something which has happened. And in 2016, NMCG was also given power of the authority under Environment Protection Act. This is again something we have to have an interaction. Inland Waterways Authority also is under an act. Lots of acts are also, lots of legislative framework are also here. Similarly, there is a kind of framework here also. And then later on, this kind of planning cycle approach, we are also trying to experiment and do it, starting with some of the tributaries. So it's happening on Ramganga, it has been done. Sorry. And now Brahmaputra board also has started working with this kind of cycle approach, and they are actually doing it for the Barak River. So I think that's again something happening. And similarly, kind of a study is happening about 6 more rivers in the country, where Sea Ganga is also helping the different institutions to do similar kind of planning. So again, I think we need not get into the program size and other things. And but this is a kind of integrated river basin approach, which has been the cornerstone of thinking in the Namami Gange program. In this mission, we started calling it this Nirmal Ganga and Aviral Ganga. These two terms became popular from the GRBMP report, Ganga River Basin report of the IITs, and which is now universally used by everyone in India. So this thing. Later on, when we moved around, we brought some other verticals, the Jan Ganga, strengthening people river connect, because without people owning up, you will keep on cleaning from one side and people will keep on making dirty. People will keep on bringing challenges. If you look back and look at any of the river, what happens, who takes benefit of a river? Almost every section of society. Who also makes some harmful decision or who also harms river? Again, if you think deeply, almost everyone harms or has a potential to harm. Sorry. So this is something which is important, that there is lot of emphasis given to bring people, research, knowledge, co-creation. This is again very important. And then this is something livelihood, economy and conservation, Earth Ganga. I think I will come to that little more in another slide. So several activities happen. We started the concept of environmental flow. What should be the minimum flow for the river to maintain its ecology in simple terms? Now this is important from your point of view also, because if there is some sort of discussion about minimum flow, then in the channel where you have got, you are also a stakeholder, you will also put your demand. So I think that flow regime will help in doing that. Then connectivity, etc. Here I will also just say the fishery. We also have some program. It's not, I'm not talking intentionally about the water quality and then the STP thing. But yes, we actually interacted with inland fishery is very important in India. It contributes a lot. I mean, India is, if I am right, second largest producer in terms of inland fishery. So we started working with CIFRI in Barakpur and started doing some conservation of the fishery also. And if you look back, I think in last 10 years or so, the inland fishery production also has become double, less than 10 years. So I think there has been a lot of growth. So I think today we are talking more about that, but we think of the river economy. Inland waterway is one of the most significant one. Perhaps in terms of numbers, it will be very large. But there are several other sectors which are also very important to the economy. And there are also government programs like Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana is there for the fishery. So there are several things. I mean, we can keep on getting into several issues. So that's also there. Now here, IRBMP, what will happen? I mean, hydroeconomics, river delta economy. First of all, river starts from somewhere and goes somewhere. So I think someone has to look at the connectivity. Often we think of the Ganga program, the emphasis is upon Uttarakhand and UP. And sometimes we do not talk or give so much of importance in the Delta, Sundarban Delta, which is again something very, very important. And I mean, it's a kind of world heritage. So I think that kind of connectivity is important, river delta economics. And if you look at the southern rivers, Godavari or Kaveri, I think in the delta area, lots of canal systems were developed, and actually there is a potential, and already some shipping, some sort of inland waterway transport happens there also. So here, uh, we also started emphasizing upon urban river management plan. Because see, we are talking about river basin management plan at a much larger level than the sub-basin plan. But cities are actually very important. Cities are the entity which actually bring lots of pollution and lots of other challenges to the river. So we thought that we should have a plan where river urban planning as well as water planning should go together. And this URMPs are a nice document, and it's being supported, and 60 cities it's happening, and National Institute of Urban Affairs is helping in that. Here, we are also developing eco-friendly riverfront project, because riverfronts are important, but how to make it eco. Now, this riverfront, some of these things will also be useful, and recently we were very happy that Kolkata Port Trust also came to NIUA and then started discussion about how we can make little more eco-friendly and green ghats or the eco-friendly riverfront. So that discussion is going on, and some design ideas are also being given. It was there in this, but I removed it because otherwise it will take a lot of time. But it's very good. And here again another opportunity is there. A lot of these ports, lot of these organizations have lot of land. Can we think of making them greener and landscaping? Of course, one thing idea will come, to monetize them and sell it and do something else. But you retain your ownership before that kind of decision is taken. Can we think of doing something like that? So that's again something which is important idea to do that. Now, lots of technology. When we started, and I think you are also, I'm trying to use some of my experience with what can happen. Continuum monitoring is very important. Now, how you monitor, I think there is already a well-established old system in river gauges and other things. We also have a water quality monitoring system with CPCB, but we tried to introduce real-time water quality monitoring in Ganga with mixed results. It's still under stabilization, but yes, the mission is able to monitor online lots of status of projects as well as the river water quality now. So I think we started with the scratch, but now lot more capacity has been added. Now here when you monitor, it will not be only water quality. Lots of things about sediment, lots of other aspects, etc., which has a potential. And we have to think in future that how these kind of changes is going to change. For you, the most critical thing is the section of the river, the depth of the river, and what's going to be your future challenge. And something you can do, something this sector can do, something you have to raise at the basin management level. You have to go to the other departments in Government of India and also state governments to actually think of it. So this is something which will be very important. We actually did a kind of LIDAR mapping with very high resolution DEM in case of Ganga, and then we mapped it with the help of Survey of India. And that actually helps us in getting the idea of the flood plains and other things. It has to be used scientifically to do that. Then similarly, I think I have talked about the natural assets requiring life cycle management, because often when we do it, we think of construction, but actually you have to go beyond construction and do it. So I think I will speed up. Here I have tried to look at the two ministries and then what are the common areas where actually lot of common plan can be done. And then this is again, this is the Namami Gange vision, but I have tried to look at from the Maritime India vision and then what all could actually fit in and how we can actually map it. Because I am talking about Namami Gange because it's a kind of basin authority or basin organization for the Ganga basin. If you assume that, then this kind of mapping could happen, which will ultimately develop into something which happens in some of the other rivers. This is important. I think there will be a lot of challenge in dredging. I think some people are there. So when you think of technology, when you do dredging, how you can have a technology which, like when we were doing tunneling, tunnel boring machine came, so it actually helped. So I was irrigation secretary of the state for a long time. With tunnel boring machine, we could actually construct irrigation channels below the Sri Salem Wildlife Sanctuary, and permission was given. So I think because it will not harm, it will not disturb. So I think some of these kind of technology we'll also have to see when you dredge, and especially your national waterway passes through Bikramshila Dolphin Sanctuary. So that becomes very important to find new technology, new ways, so that you, I mean, our ship as well as dolphin can coexist to the extent possible. So that's a kind of challenge, and these are the kind of challenge which you have to look at. So similarly, several other ideas are also there. Then at this point, we also have to think about some of these, I mean, how we can actually make it more green. Already the nature of the sector is such that it is actually promoting green. It's a kind of eco-friendly sector, but what all we do can also get into this. And then how you can actually reuse some of the sediments, etc., dead segments for helping some other ecosystem in the basin, if it is possible. So I think these are some of the things which we can do. This perhaps is known that this shows the phenomenal growth which has happened in last 4-5 years. If you can see, it's almost 74% growth here we are talking about inland water sector. Several things, and especially NW1 on Ganga, several new very interesting projects are coming, and then there is a lot of focus on that also. And this is where actually the Earth Ganga concept started. In December 2019, National Ganga Council was chaired by Honorable Prime Minister, and then this concept actually it came directly from him, that how we can make river conservation as well as livelihood and a local economy. So I think this Earth Ganga concept started 2021 onwards. So again, on this particular NW1 and then the World Bank supported program, some of the savings from that program were actually used to, in the phase to do some of the activities which are closer to the community for the Earth Ganga. So I think that is something which is positive, and I hope it's progressing or something is happening. And that's also something where we will need to have more interaction with the district level authorities, state level authorities, and then this need not be a very engineering oriented thing. You also will bring some of the other factors and other sectors and local administration into this. So that's there. Then similarly, several things are happening. Now, we all know there is very ambitious plan. Lots of progress is happening, and then you are going to have some more. Now, resource is a challenge. I mean, of course, the budget is there, and budgetary support actually scales up. But how the authority can actually catalyze more private investment into that, and then here your private investment can be in the terminal, can be in terms of ship building, bringing ship, cruises, several aspects are there. When I look at the PPP, and I think recently, I think Haldia MMT and Kaluhat, 2 PPP revenue share model as well as equipment operate and transfer. So 2 basis different models are there. Again, there is need to have a good discussion. When we started bringing PPP in Namami Gange, two things come to my mind. One thing is the Namami Gange. I was also Principal Secretary Infrastructure in my state and dealt with the ports and airports and LNG terminal, etc. So lots of PPP, private ports came in Andhra Pradesh. I'm talking of Andhra coast. And several projects came, but I think that's a kind of negative example. When it started, lots of complaints came, some of them politically motivated, about some sort of gadbad happening or some sort of embezzlement happening or wrong things happening, and lots of inquiry. So I think when I joined there, I was actually trying to look at the concession agreement and try to look at clause by clause that whether it is fair or it's undue advantage. In fact, to really do PPP, unless you give a kind of fair term to the concessionaire, it will not succeed. This is what, and sometimes those fair terms, some people feel that you are giving undue advantage. So I think sometimes due to lack of that understanding of that milieu also this kind of problem happens. So I think that has to be done. We tried to do it in Namami Gange. We went for the hybrid annuity model to start with. And the performance guarantee was a kind of thing. We didn't lack money at that point of time. But here we will be also driven because of the resource constraints, because your resource need will be huge. It's a very different kind of shelter. And we learned from road sector, but we changed also. Because road, it is actually in a way the revenue model, revenue stream is very much clear. Here, no one will pay for user charges for your sewage treatment. So it was very difficult, but it has succeeded with lots of safeguards and making the private player comfortable and giving them confidence. Now almost 15,000 to 20,000 crore worth sewerage projects infrastructure is happening on the PPP mode in Namami Gange. And what's important is you get, and many state governments are following because they don't have enough money to fulfill the NGT mandate, so they actually buy time and then slowly, because 60% you pay only 40% and 60% you pay in the 15-year annuity. And 15-year maintenance is also taken care of, so that's something very, very important to look at. But this is something which needs good discussion. In fact, in my, roughly speaking, this sector in terms of feasibility lies between road and Namami Gange. You have a much better stream of revenue, much better situation than when we started working on the wastewater and everyone said that it will not succeed. So we had to give little more concession also to make it, and now we are trying to do some revenue stream of reuse and other things also, so that it becomes more like a PPP. So I think we need to do a lot of financial scheme models. Some flexibility will be needed, issue of bonds, etc. where it is, and this needs to be done with a kind of approach where actually we integrate RBM plans, economic focus on the large cargo. It's necessary to focus on passengers, tourism and community waste initiatives to actually develop a lot of your goodwill and scale up its there. So to end, few things. One thing is we need to really revisit our historical heritage and traditions and culture and build up authentic documentation of that. Documentation are there, but someone has to authentically put a kind of project, a kind of research project and do it. And then translate that into the modern time, that what are the lessons and what we can do. Look at with a very open mind about bringing more revenue. And most importantly, look at your sector being part of the overall river management. Because if river does not remain healthy, you will not have enough depth, you will not have enough flow, and then your navigation also will not succeed. So I think what we do, we have to develop technology, we have to bring finances, conservation oriented. There will be differences. There are differences in the international river basins also. Some give and take happens, but that formal mechanism has to be there. Otherwise, this standalone sector approach will take you further. Government priorities and money is there, will go to a particular stage, but after some time, after 10 years, 15 years, the negative impact will come and then it will have a problem. So I think that is something which we have to look at, and then I have taken more than the time given to me, so excuse me for that. And I will like to stop here and will really be very happy to listen to the ideas from.
Thank you very much, sir. But even the former bureaucrats want to listen to the current person in chair. So I would request Mr. Ashutosh Gautam to kindly enlighten the audience with the kind of
Thank you, Shishirji. Good evening to everyone, and respected Dr. Sanjeev Ranjan sir. Schemes or projects aided by the World Bank, Jalmarg Vikas project as mentioned by the Mishra Saab. This is on NW1, National Waterway 1, each budget or each allocation. So lot of developmental. On NW3, yes, it is a tidal zone in Kerala. Definitely certain special activities are going on. NW4 and NW5, there is a very big project, and we have come to the stage. It is a very big project amounting to around 13,000 crores. And this is basically meant for the evacuation of coal from Talcher region through Brahmani and Kharsua river basin. So those rivers will be utilized for evacuation of coal from Talcher area. So that is a big, because railway and roadway, there has been a big congestion, the whole project in such a way so that we can improve the coal evacuation in time. See how other factors are affecting this, because first of all, this is a very long, as an engineer or as a common man, as a person, river, road, all these things everybody uses. We know that the overall mountains or the Indian mountains or wherever, at least Himalayan ranges, best point of that river basin. ड्राफ्ट हमें रिवर को कॉमर्शियली यूज़ करने के लिए एक ड्राफ्ट चाहिए. वी नीड एटलीस्ट 2.5 मीटर ड्राफ्ट और इंटर एरिया. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने यहाँ लिया रिवर, सम प्रोसेस है, यही है. क्योंकि फ्लड में हमारी अनकंट्रोल्ड रिवर्स हैं. अविरल गंगा है, अनकंट्रोल्ड रिवर है. फ्लड में इतनी हो, किनारे से यहाँ तक पहुँचना और उसकी डेप्थ को मेंटेन करना एक चैलेंज है. और वो जिस फाउंडेशन से हम चल के किनारे से लीन सीजन में रिवर देखना होगा. शैलोइंग ऑफ रिवर, हर चीज़ नीचे आई, सिल्टेशन हुआ, अनप्रिडिक्टेबल सिल्टेशन हुआ, रिवर जो है सब उसमें भर गया. एक हम लोगों के सबसे बड़े कंट्रोलिंग पॉइंट एनजीटी हैं, जो ये कहते हैं कि साहब आप जो है कोई भी कॉमर्शियल एक्टिविटी नहीं कर सकते. आप जो है माइनिंग, वो बात ठीक है कि उसका मिसयूज़ भी होता है. अगर हम कहीं पे कोई सारे बैंक्स, जो बैंक इरोजन हो रहा है, अनअकाउंटेड बैंक इरोजन हो रहा है, फर्टाइल लैंड जो है रिवर में जा रही है, फिर रिवर शैलो हो रही है. कितना मेरे पास वो डेटा है, मुझे इस समय याद नहीं है कि कितना सिल्टेशन जो है एवरी टाइम रिवर्स में आता है, और ख़ास तौर से गंगा में आता है, ब्रह्मपुत्रा में आता है. उसको निकालना तो पड़ेगा, अदरवाइज़ तो वो धीरे धीरे कहीं ना कहीं एडजस्ट होगा. और ये भी माना जाता है कि 35 to 40% ही सिल्ट जो है फाइनर होके सी में जाती है. तो 50-60% तो रिवर में ही कहीं ना कहीं बैठेगी, चाहे ऊपर से लेके नीचे तक बैठे, या फिर फ्लड्स में जो है जब स्पीड बहुत ज़्यादा होगी तो बैंक्स को कट करेगी. तो हमें सोचना होगा. IWT रियली में इट इज़ इकोनॉमिकल, इट इज़ एनवायरमेंटल फ्रेंडली, लेकिन उसके साथ जो इकोसिस्टम्स हैं उसको भी हमें देखना होगा. ड्रेजिंग प्रैक्टिसेस के बारे में आपने कहा सर, वो मैं बहुत लंबा इशू है, मैं बताऊंगा. लेकिन अभी एक आपने पॉइंट किया कि क्या रोबोटिक, अभी मैं एक आर्टिकल पढ़ रहा था, तो एक बॉम्बे की कंपनी है, उसने डीसिल्टेशन, जो कि डैम्स में टर्मिनोलॉजी यूज़ होती है, हमारे यहाँ रिवर्स में फॉर नेविगेशनल पर्पसेस वी यूज़ द टर्मिनोलॉजी ऑफ ड्रेजिंग. तो उन्होंने रोबोटिक ड्रेजर्स या रोबोटिक डीसिल्टेशन रोबोट्स बनाए हैं. तो अभी उसके ऊपर काम चल रहा है. अगर वो सक्सेसफुल हो जाता है तो बहुत अच्छा एक वो रहेगा. वो एम्फीबियस ड्रेजर्स हैं, वो लो वाटर में भी चल जाएंगे और उनके लिए किसी ड्राफ्ट की ज़रूरत नहीं है, और जो है नीचे भी चले जाएंगे और बॉटम पे भी जाके टच हो जाएंगे. तो दे कैन वर्क एवरीवेयर वेयर एवर यू वांट, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम स्मॉल साइज टू बिगर साइज. राइन के बारे में आपने मेंशन किया था, तो राइन, आई हैव ऑल्सो सीन राइन, एंड उसके बारे में मैं कुछ ज़रूर सब लोगों से, कुछ हो सकता है स्टूडेंट्स भी हों, यंग ऑफिसर्स भी हों यहाँ पे, उनको मैं बताना चाहूँगा कि वहाँ पर दैट इज़ स्नो फेड रिवर, और वहाँ पर सारे बैंक्स उन्होंने जो हैं, बैंक्स आर प्रॉपरली प्रोटेक्टेड एंड चैनल इज़ स्टेबलाइज्ड एंड फेयरली इट इज़ कंट्रोल्ड ऑल्सो. हमारे यहाँ एक्चुअली वाटर इज़ नॉट कंट्रोल्ड. Mississippi में the best practices, the best tendency they have developed, it is controlled with navigational logs. Several navigational logs, hundreds of navigational logs, and it is controlled. So basically, if you control the river for navigation, you need navigational log. You provide navigational log, you control the hydrograph also, you control the river wastage of water also, you control everything, you control siltation also. But you have to maintain it, because I have been told that the assets which have been created by the US in Mississippi 70-80 years back, those are getting dilapidated, and lot of money is required to maintain that. And core of engineers of US Army, I suppose it is maintaining. So they are basically paucity of funds. Infra, yes, in India, infra is definitely to be developed. First mile connectivity is to be seen. Last mile connectivity cost is also to be seen. I have explained. Similarly, in India, we are not allowed to develop production centers all along the river, because we are highly civilized and we don't treat our rivers properly. And again, NW5, it is a big project, and if anyone wants to share how we are developing its financial model, how, what are the challenges by state government, what are felt by us, what is the quantity, how much evacuation, how much additional evacuation of coal can be planned, and what are the interventions which will be required in the river, because the quantity of water, you have mentioned the minimum water. So quantity of water in that river, which maintains the draft, that requires mandatory control of river, controlled water of rivers. Otherwise, that is not possible. Sir, you have mentioned dolphin. Yes, we are in Bhagalpur. We are maintaining the dolphin. That is also one of the feature which we have to maintain. In case our cargo increases, and in case if we see that hundreds of ships are crossing in front of my eyes, or in front of Varanasi Ghats. Now visualize this thing, that every hour 2 ships, cargo ships are going in front of the Varanasi Ghats. How people will feel. And one thing we have also to see, that it is a mechanical system. It is a rotatory system. Even the rudder, even the axle, everything is lubricated. The wastage, in case it moves very frequently, even if we say that we are very much maintaining everything, but something which is not visible, we have to see. This is also one of the challenge. We have to understand and we have to visualize that what is going to happen. So all these things are the food for thought, and we can discuss if required later on, because my time is already over. And dredging, I have already spoken. Yes, of course, quantity of inflow, quality of inflow, and commercial desiltation. I think we have to see very, very seriously. We have to clean the rivers, and in case it can be used commercially, it has to be allowed. The issue related to center or state, minor mineral relates to state, the cleaning of river related to center. We have lost several decades, I think, in this. We have to plug it, then only we should think of developing this kind of ecosystem. And yes, to my understanding, first of all, we have to concentrate on tidal zones, where we have lot of quantity or we have sufficient draft, the flow is stable, and we have to develop ancillary riverine ports. Then only this kind of approach will develop. So with this, I think, thank you so much. I think we have already crossed, and thank you CMEC, Center for Maritime Economy, to invite me over here. And thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
So, from the government, he's highlighted more challenges than the opportunities, and government and everybody else runs only to the academia to find technological solutions. So we have with us Professor Tare. Sir, I would like you to highlight some of the aspects, if you may, that the siltation is a problem, but there are some scientific solutions to stop the siltation, if not stop, reduce the siltation through geospatial planning. So there are solutions which others have also enabled and implemented. So if I may request you to come out with some solutions and some light at the end of the tunnel. There is a lot of light, but kindly throw all this light.
My purpose of explaining the challenges is not discouraging. There are certain solutions also.
Yeah, it's nice to understand that.
We have to understand the problem first before finding out the solution.
Namaskar and very good evening to all of you. I think we already had 2 very illustrious presentations. The key to that, normally people think that using rivers for navigation will create issues for the river. I think this is the only activity on the river which depends on the survival of the river, which depends on the healthy river, right? So, and this is the only way in which we can talk about economy around rivers. So, I think this is a very, very important activity, and we should not leave this to the mercy of the Supreme Court and the NGT to dictate the regulations. We should be proactive and telling to the people, convincing people that how it can be done. Of course, we have the challenges, and in a limited time we will not be able to address the issues, but I think this notion has to go away, that navigation in the river is going to, it will coexist with the river. So, I think this is the, and Raju sir has mentioned that wastewater economy. I don't think that we will be able to make business on wastewater and this thing. So, we will have to have kind of support from the other. Like when we started with this, we said if we have to transport Ganga, transform Ganga, we have to value water. We have to value rivers. So, sustaining and maintaining rivers is very important, and this is one sector which can give us revenues. Okay? And I think we have to give importance, and we cannot leave it to the mercy of the PILs and things like that to come up with regulations. I think this is more important. The second thing that you mentioned is how we can prevent this kind of challenges of siltation and everything. Of course, in one line, if we have to look at it, we have to look at the entire catchment area. And if we can somehow make sure that the rapid flow is converted into a sluggish flow, this is what is our challenge. How do we convert rapid flow in the catchment area? And if we can derive our inspiration from the mythological story of Shankar, Jata, capturing the wave or the speed, I think this is where we have to apply all over. It is not just in Himalaya. All upstream stretches of the river, wherever it is a high hill and there is a rapid flow, how can we convert this into a sluggish flow? And this is where the catchment area protection, the remote sensing technologies, the terrain management is very important. Okay? While, of course, the technology and improvements in the ship, improvements in the mechanization and all is important, but maintaining healthy river system is and it can coexist. And if the river exists, only then the river economy will exist. So, I don't think we should look it as a contradiction or and we will have to ensure, how do we make sure that normally when we talk about reuse of water, one of the important reuses of water is also providing water for the river. And somehow this notion has gone, I will close this nala, I will close that drain, I will close that. I think how can we close the drain and make sure that the river, so this has to move away, and whatever water that we withdraw, in fact normally we relate our water demand to the number of people, the number of industries and so on. In my opinion, our demand doesn't increase with increasing number of people, with increase in industry or whatever. The demand in a particular area is essentially the evaporation and evapotranspiration. And that has not changed, though we can blame to some extent the climate change, but that has not changed over a period of time. So, to give this picture that India is becoming more and more water stressed, I think we have to look at it in a very different perspective, right? Because the total amount of water that comes to our geographical area has not changed. Evaporation and evapotranspiration has not changed significantly. Only thing that has happened when we talk in terms of water availability, okay, the numerator part is the same. Because the population has increased, we feel that we are water stressed, right? But look at it like a desert cooler, right? How much water we need to give it to desert cooler? Only whatever is evaporates and, right? So, same concept also is applicable. So, it is not that we are shortage of water. Only thing is how can we close the water loop? particularly during the non-monsoon period, right? And how can it, and if you look at the number of rivers, you will be surprised, the known rivers in the Ganga basin alone is more than 10,000. It is only the rivers whose names are known to us. But we have recently prepared a complete atlas. The number of rivers are something like 1,50,000 rivers. 1,50,000 river, and the total length is something like 4,50,000 plus kilometers, right? So if we can make, and add to that the canal network. So can we do interconnection between the two and increase our this thing? And we should, of course, the waterways are there, national waterways, they are for the long distance transport. But can we also look at local transports for even crossing from one and then reduce the load on the railways and the traffic? So this is something that we need to very see. And if we have to sustain river economy, I think this sector has to grow. And the perception about this sector has to change. And we have to convince that this and the river can exist together because they are dependent on each other. And we have to work towards that kind of thing. And there are a number of multiple issues. Of course, there are challenges. But then with the use of technology, many of those can be taken care of. And what is important is how do we get the money into the sector, right? So it has to have a revenue model. It has to have a, only then the river can be. And we just cannot depend only on the wastewater sector. In fact, wastewater sector is more a consumer, right? If you expect that that will sustain the economy and the sewage treatment plants can be maintained with reuse and recycle, I think one of the most important thing is the treated water should also be used, looked at from the point of view of maintaining the river health, maintaining the depth, maintaining the draft or whatever, and look at this as a complete this thing. And sand and silt management, as I said, yes, mining is important. Just because there are some sectors, some people where it is difficult to manage, unusual, illegal practices happen, but we cannot give that as an excuse. I think we have to work more seriously to make sure that it becomes a scientific activity. It becomes a more managed activity, and this perception has, I don't think there is enough time for me to talk about the technology, but I think technology, there is a different forum because it requires in-depth discussion. Just superficial mention of the technology and all will not help. But the larger perspective of giving importance, and most important thing that I feel is we cannot leave this to the judicial activism. We have to be proactive and suggest what do we want. What kind of laws we want, what kind of regulations we want. Proactively we have to work, otherwise somebody will take over and use the sentiments of the people, okay? And somehow that issue. Yes, rivers are important. Coming from the river management side, obviously river health is important. But this is something that can coexist, and we have to work on that. So I think with this, we will probably take some questions and comments rather than I keep speaking, but it's a very important thing. And the blue economy has to be related to, if I can call it, turbid economy, because inland waters are more turbid, right? So it is not just only water, but there is also flow of sediments and silt or whatever. But that turbid river system, or turbid, if I can say, is hydroterrain, is what controls also the coastal area. So giving enough importance and understanding the hydroterrain is equally important to make sure there is no loss, we don't lose the coastal, whatever amount of silt has to go on an annual basis, whatever has to be removed, all that is properly taken care of. And it's, of course, multidisciplinary, but we have to be proactive and just cannot leave it to business as usual. We have to come up with that and propose it, because many of the areas, because we have not done proactive work, so whatever orders, and I know we are struggling, the NGT issues certain orders for the affluent standards, but because we have not proposed anything, they end up forcing, and then now if we say, no, this is not required, they say, because you cannot do it, you are giving excuses for relaxing the standards or whatever, okay? One very important, I always see, like nitrogen, phosphorus, why do we have to remove on water? Okay? Can there be a better way of doing? Because if you have to remove nitrogen and phosphorus from water, it costs huge amount, right? Can we have an alternative way of managing that? So I think soil economy and river economy also has to be taken together. So soil conservation also has to become a national program, and that will control the soil production also, the river siltation also. So I think we have to look at it more in an integrated and holistic way, and create inter-ministerial group which can support each other, not just rely on activism. So I think I'll stop at that. But these are very important issues. We all have to work together and at least flag it, okay, so that enough importance, and don't create controversies on this, that this only means economic development. Economic development also goes with protecting the nature, right? So it has to go side by side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We have in the audience some people from the industry and academia, and of course, former bureaucrat. And if anybody has some question, impending question.
Honorable Prime Minister thought about circular economy and recovery economy almost 25 years back. And Mr. Mishra was talking about the water heritage. I think our 100 rupee note has Rani Ki Vav from Patan. It's a village in Gujarat, but a very renowned village. We are very happy to inform the August gathering and the people on the dais that the usage of sludge and silt for building the embankments in Sabarmati is already happening in the phase 2, and we have been guided and handheld by Dr. Patel from the Sabarmati, Jagdish Patel, from the Sabarmati River Development Front. And we were given a kind of ideology that yes, NCR or Gurgaon or Hindon, Agra, there's a lot to be done. Surat, Nag River, Mithi River. You talk about the river rejuvenation and the inland waterways, it's a long way. So I would say that combination of industry and using of silt, what was initialed by Honorable Prime Minister in the second tender of the development of Sabarmati was 40% and 30% usage is compulsory for a contractor to build the embankments. I think that's the good point, but working there are different challenges. In Indian rivers, you find statues, you find dead bodies, you find coconuts, you find dresses. So when you really need to do a proper dredging or desiltation or using the technology, outside India there is no fishing nets from the local community. So there are different challenges, but you need to come across and grow over that. So we have proudly, after putting a lot of money and the pilot things in place, we have come up with an hybrid first electric dredger where it is different. 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers sludge can be moved out. But usage of the sludge is the first important thing before piling it up. So I think the challenge is not to desilt or silt or desilt Yamuna or look at the confluence of Yamuna and Najafgarh. It's not the siltation, it's the usage of the sludge which needs to be adhered before you even think of putting the project. 54 kilometers from Dhansa to Najafgarh confluence, I think the methane is flowing highly up. The walls from the dairy of Nagloi are getting the CDG wastage into the Najafgarh drain, so it's going to overflow. So finally, it's going to be flood. So during the flood, we plan 10,000 crores or 3,000 crores. But to mitigate this 55 kilometers, the interstate war of Haryana, Delhi, or different departments, 9, 10, 20 departments, I think there has to be holistic approach, what Mr. Mishra is saying. Single, outlined, basin approach is fine. But when you look at a river and a problem, it has to be holistic approach. Thank you.
Like
Yes. Uh, I don't think it was a question, but thanks for sharing. See, the way reuse is taking shape of sludge. There was a time when we used to sanction from government of India 10 years back under JNURM, STP, and we used to say sludge will be disposed of safely by the local authorities. No consideration what they did. Lot of land was there, so just they threw it in the land, and then with the sun it used to go. Now several, as you very rightly said, so when as I told you, and you very rightly said, our rivers are very different from the other rivers. So we can think of management practice, institutional practice and policies, but we will have to design for ourselves, because and that's the beauty of our and strength of our river also. Ganga is Ganga because it has mind of its own. It changes course, it can sustain, it can destroy. So both are there in that. So I think you have to live with that. You cannot think of channelizing. I mean, when we started Namami Gange, another thing which Professor Tare told, we did not think sipping as a kind of wrong thing. So in fact, in the group of secretary and then the group of ministers meeting, we were actually looking at sipping. I mean, from the selfish interest from us, that there will be a stakeholder which will insist for having flow, and that will help the river. So I think that was the kind of thinking in our mind when we were designing. So we should also talk to them, and we should also put them in the committee, because we were driven till that time by environment and also only about looking at STP and cleaning part. But we thought that it's good to have different stakeholders with different interest and bring them on one platform, so that there will be kind of negotiation, there will be something good for that. So
One more thing, that your Namami Gange took away my almost 7 hydro projects, starting from Vindhar Ganga to the other projects which we were trying to develop in Uttarakhand. So we are not saying that the development and there are talks that when you build hydro project, so the energy from the water is taken away.
No.
Agriculture will go back.
That is not.
So those days are also there in this part of the world and the country. And I think Viksit Bharat needs I will say sir, वास्ता भी जरूरी है नदियों के साथ, रास्ता भी जरूरी है और आस्था भी जरूरी है.
बिल्कुल सही.
तीनों चीजों की बहुत जरूरत है सर. और इसमें अब जो आस्था जुड़ी है, वो गंगा और यमुना के साथ ब्रह्मपुत्र में भी जुड़ी है और कृष्णा गोदावरी में भी.
बिल्कुल हर जगह.
So I think we really need to understand, and it starts from us only. So मैं सर यही रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा कि पूजा से परवाह तक हमारे सनातन धर्म में पूजा करते हैं, तो उसके बाद हम इंतजार करते हैं कि कब किसी नदी के ऊपर से निकलेंगे, केनाल के ऊपर से निकलेंगे, तो अपने घर की सामग्री डाल देंगे. तो I think the slogan will come shortly. It is going to be पूजा से परवाह. परवाह means you care for the rivers. You don't only put the things what you are trying to do. So
No, I think it's basically drawing the line. I mean, you allow the carrying capacity of the river also has to be seen. The moment Ganga comes out of the Gangotri, and if we start capturing it between tunnel and saying that hydroelectric project will anyway leave it, so people also want to see. I very much like what Mr. Gautam said, that if you bring shipping, and in the Varanasi Ghats, if continuously cargo ship is going and all that, so ultimately आपको आस्था भी देखना है, वास्ता भी देखना है, रास्ता भी देखना है, and somewhere you have to balance.
Hello sir, my name is Rahul. मेरा आशुतोष सर से क्वेश्चंस है. सर जो हमारे यहाँ वाइट गोल्ड है, सैंड, उसका जो ब्लैक माइनिंग है, उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट पड़ेगा ओवरऑल रिवर पर, और जो इनलैंड वाटरवेज का जो बिजनेस है उसमें जुडिशियल एक्टिविज्म और एनजीटी इतना इन्वॉल्व हो जाता है, तो क्या वो प्रॉपर इकोनॉमिकल होगा हमारे लिए?
नहीं, बहुत अच्छा आपका क्वेश्चन है. देखिए, आपने पूछा कि जो वाइट गोल्ड है उसका जो यूसेज है या जो सैंड है. देखिए, रिवर्स को तो क्लीन करना ज़रूरी है ही है, और अगर हम नहीं करेंगे तो उसके जो नुकसान होंगे वो बहुत ज़्यादा होंगे. अब कैसे हम जो हैं, जो सैंड है उसका कैसे कॉमर्शियल, तो उसके लिए पहला जो इम्पेडिमेंट है वो ये है कि हमें ये परमिशन लेनी पड़ेगी एनजीटी से कि हमें जो है रिवर की जो जो माइनिंग है या जो सैंड माइनिंग है या जो एग्रीगेट माइनिंग है या जो सिल्ट माइनिंग है, उसको कैसे हम कॉमर्शियल यूज़ के लिए अलाउ कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि ये मना किया हुआ है कि फ्रॉम रिवर यू कैन नॉट एक्सट्रैक्ट एनी थिंग विच मे बी यूज फॉर कॉमर्शियल यूज़। और वो इसलिए मना किया गया है, जैसे आप तारे साहब बता रहे थे कि हम लोगों ने उसको प्रोएक्टिवली हैंडल नहीं किया है, तो वो ये कहते हैं कि भाई ये मिसयूज़ होगा, लोग मिसयूज़ करेंगे, इसलिए मिसयूज़ मत करो। लेकिन मेरा ये कहना है, जैसे मिश्रा सर ने भी कहा और आपने भी कहा, कि हम ये देखें कि अगर हम मिसयूज़ को देखेंगे, क्या यूज़ ना करना ज़्यादा नुकसानदायक है या मिसयूज़ को होने देना ज़्यादा नुकसानदायक है, इसको हमें इक्वेट करना पड़ेगा। अब हमें ये भी देखना पड़ेगा कि जो आप निकाल रहे हैं, तो सबसे पहले आपका एक पैरामीटर ये आ जाता है कि जो आप निकाल रहे हैं वो यूज़फुल है कि नहीं। गडकरी साहब ने नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स के लिए एक ब्रह्मपुत्रा के लिए एक एग्रीमेंट हम लोगों से साइन कराया था कि मतलब जब मैं रोड्स में था NHAI में, सर तो हमारे सेक्रेटरी ट्रांसपोर्ट और रोड्स रहे हैं, सर के टाइम पे ही वो हुआ था। तो वहाँ पे ये हुआ कि जो ब्रह्मपुत्रा से निकालेंगे वो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स जो हैं वो रोड फिलिंग में, क्योंकि ये एक बहुत बड़ा स्कोप है, रोड का जो एम्बैंकमेंट है ऑल टुगेदर उसमें बहुत क्वांटिटी कंज्यूम हो सकती है। फिर उसके लिए उसके टेक्निकल जस्टिफिकेशन थे कि वेदर इट कैन बी यूज्ड, क्योंकि उसके लिए भी कुछ टेक्निकल रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं। दूसरा चैलेंज ये आता है कि आप जब निकाल रहे हैं और नदी बहुत चौड़ी है, तो आप उसको किनारे तक कैसे ले जाएंगे। तो जब नदी कम चौड़ी होती है तो आप जो है पाइपलाइन जो है वो नॉर्मली 300 400 500 मीटर तक एक बूस्टर पंप जो है वो उसको प्रेशर खींच लेता है, 200-300 मीटर मान लें, नहीं तो अदरवाइज़ आप जो है वो एक और पंप उसमें बीच में लगाते हैं। तो अगर ब्रह्मपुत्रा है जहाँ 18 किलोमीटर चौड़ा है, तो आप कैसे किनारे ले जाएंगे। अगर आप उसको जो है पहले डालेंगे, फिर उसको ले जाएंगे, फिर उसको अनलोड करेंगे, वो कैसे होगा। फिर आपके पास वही 4-5 महीने का सीज़न है, फिर फ्लड आएगा, वो सब उसमें चला जाएगा। तो फाइनली ये सब चीज़ें हमें देखनी होंगी, और फिर वो मटेरियल उस जगह के ऊपर क्या वाइबल है, क्या निकलने के बाद डिस्पोजल हो सकता है। जैसे सर ने बताया या आप बता रहे थे कि डिस्पोजल इज़ द मेन इशू। आपने डंप तो कर दिया, लेकिन उसका यूसेज कैसे होगा। तो ये सब चीज़ें ओवरऑल सारे इकोसिस्टम को देखना पड़ेगा। आपकी ब्रिक्स भी बन रही हैं, वहाँ पे लो लाइंग एरिया भी डेवलप हो रहा है, क्या हम उसकी रीफिलिंग कर सकते हैं। क्या अगर बहुत अच्छी फर्टाइल सॉइल है जो कि नॉर्मली मिल जाती है, अगर आप पटना या पटना से आगे तक भी जाएं तो भी आपकी जो आप निकालेंगे नदी में से वो फर्टाइल रहेगी। तो क्या आप ऐसा तो नहीं कि आप जो है डिस्पोजल अगर करें तो आप खेतों में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दें। तो ये सारी चीज़ें ऑल टुगेदर एग्जामिन करनी पड़ेंगी। तो बहुत अच्छा आपका जो है ये एक बहुत बड़ा सब्जेक्ट है, और हम लोगों ने मतलब जब से मैं इस फील्ड में आया हूँ तब से जो भी मेरी अपनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है वो यही कहती है कि सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज यही है। और जो आपने सर कहा कि हमें जो है जो इनफ्लो, क्वालिटी ऑफ इनफ्लो टू द रिवर है। इनफ्लो मीन्स जो सब कुछ लेके आ रहा है, बहुत ज़्यादा सिल्ट लेके आ रहा है, उसकी क्वालिटी मैंने तो अपनी टर्मिनोलॉजी में यूज़ किया, लेकिन आपने रैपिड वाटर टू स्लगिश वाटर, दैट इज़ अ रियल करेक्ट टर्मिनोलॉजी। अगर हम उसको रोक देंगे और अगर हम बैंक प्रोटेक्ट कर लेंगे, क्योंकि बैंक्स का भी जो हमारा नुकसान है हर साल का वो बहुत बड़ा है, बहुत बड़ा है। नदियाँ चौड़ी होती जा रही हैं, नदियाँ शैलो होती जा रही हैं, बैंक्स ख़त्म होते जा रहे हैं, खेत ख़त्म होते जा रहे हैं। तो हमें ये देखना है, और नदियों में से निकालना बहुत बहुत आवश्यक है। अगर हम नहीं निकालेंगे तो पूरा देश नदी बन जाएगा। और नदियों को कंट्रोल करना भी ज़रूरी है, उनको चैनलाइज करना भी ज़रूरी है, उनको डीपेन करना भी ज़रूरी है, और उनको कंट्रोल करना भी ज़रूरी है। तभी हम वाटर टेबल भी मेंटेन कर सकते हैं, तभी हम वाटर क्वांटिटी को भी मैनेज कर सकते हैं, तभी हम वाटर क्वालिटी को भी मैनेज कर सकते हैं, तभी हम नेविगेशन को भी मैनेज कर सकते हैं। और ये इस बात से सर मैं बिल्कुल आपके सहमत हूँ। आपने सही कहा कि आपने जो उस समय आपका विज़न होगा, आपने कहा 1-2 स्टेक होल्डर ऐसे पकड़ लिए जाएँ जो खींचते रहें, जो कहें कि हमें फ़्लो चाहिए, फ़्लो चाहिए, फ़्लो चाहिए, जबकि हमारी प्रायोरिटी नहीं है। ट्रांसपोर्टेशन इन द रिवर इज़ एक्चुअली नॉट द प्रायोरिटी। फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी इज़ ड्रिंकिंग वाटर, सेकेंड प्रायोरिटी इज़ द रेपेरियन राइट्स फॉर दी ज़मीन के लिए चाहिए। थैंक यू।
उससे भी ज़्यादा एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है जो पूरे खतरा हो गया है। अभी जब ये बात हो रही थी तो रिजर्वॉयर्स का डिसिल्टेशन, बांकड़ा को बने हुए बहुत टाइम हो गया। सो फ्लड मिटिगेशन को, फ्लड मैनेजमेंट को करने के लिए भी पीने के पानी से भी ज़्यादा ज़रूरी इसलिए हो गया कि अगर वो नहीं मिटिगेट करेंगे तो हर साल तीसरे साल 5वें साल फ्लड भी आएगा।
वो बात आपकी ठीक है, वो तो उसकी कैपेसिटी कम हो जाएगी, पावर जनरेशन कम हो जाएगा.
Commander Sakhuja wanted to ask a question. Sir, mic is coming, sir. Mic.
Yeah, you are quite audible.
It's getting recorded. It's on YouTube live. So,
Acha.
yeah.
Okay. In fact, many people want to so I said this in person. So.
Mine is a very brief question. I find that, the panel has brought out very clearly the centrality of the river to civilization, to more economic order that we are talking about. And in that centrality, we are talking about dredging. And dredging has been, I think it has, as a matter of fact, resonated across the discussions. Now, what's our national capacity? That's an important issue. While we are talking about, silting, hatana hai, ye sab kuch karna hai, national capacity is there. And that is related to shipbuilding. And shipbuilding with that would be related what kind of technology. I think while we talk about all these issues, the shipbuilding part of it, craft banenge, barges banenge, small vessels banenge, 1500 ton, 2000 tons, machinery aayegi, all that capacity. I think dredging will be very, very central. And in that, I think, side by side, investment bahut zaruri hai. Maybe any of you would like to comment on that.
Mr. Gautam was on a panel with us at the India Maritime Week, and the theme of that panel was dredging itself, and it was organized by the Dredging Corporation of India. So, it was wonderful.
नहीं, बिल्कुल ठीक बात है, बहुत रिसोर्सेज चाहिए. एंड बट nowadays latest technologies are also coming up, like robotic dredging, smaller robotic dredging. Basically, dredging has got challenge because the bigger vessel or bigger dredger, they are not able to reach up to the shore because you need draft to operate it. But nowadays, amphibious dredgers are also there, which are basically floating or maybe going inside the water also and reaching up to the bottom also. And a smaller one with heavy pumping arrangement, pipelines, because dredging has got different stages. So you can use pipelines, you can use hopper dredgers, you can use storages. Definitely, simultaneous disposal is also very important. Usage of that sludge or usage of that dredged material is also important. And you have to visualize the flood season also, that every year everything is plain. So that is the basic tendency of the river in India. So controlled river. So altogether, yes, of course, we cannot deny that in case we want to clean rivers, we have to invest a lot, and a lot of investment in shipbuilding, in building the dredgers also, the shipbuilders, and recently the Honorable Prime Minister has allocated 69,000 rupees for shipbuilding industry, not complete for shipbuilding, but for Maritime Development Fund also, and shipbuilding also, and some subsidies also.
So dredging is a very important aspect, as he's brought out, and Bharat BEML has recently gone into a technology tie-up with a company called Dragflow from Italy, especially for river dredging equipment. That is number one. And number two, Dredging Corporation of India at the India Maritime Week itself signed a lot of MOUs with other companies, especially for not only for technology but for operations and other aspects also, wherein Mishra sir was also mentioning that an integrated model of contract is being considered, where you are not only doing operational and maintenance dredging, capital and maintenance dredging, but you are also utilizing the waste material for creating some wealth. That aspect will also be built into the model or in the contract. So you can go to the extent of creating energy from the waste. There is some organic waste also in the dredge material, and similarly construction material and so many other things. So it is not a black, there is a scar. It is controlled, of course, because there was uncontrolled use of the dredge material. But all these aspects, if they are turned into a proactive way, as Professor Tare mentioned, by proactively coming out with models and proactively coming out with schemes, there is a lot of opportunity.
Good evening, sir. I'm Preeti Bora, a PhD candidate at Jamia Millia Islamia, and my topic is related to India's maritime diplomacy. So, sir, as we are discussing maritime India and river economics, so for that, inland waterways need to be transformed into a seamless corridor, logistic corridors. So for that transformation, what kind of multimodal connectivity is needed, and who will finance this transformation? And as you just mentioned that community perspective also matter when it comes to development and the laws, obviously. So how can we change that perspective, like the Varanasi example that you just gave? So people may perceive this development in a very different way, like when it is Astha versus development kind of discussion may or debate may arise. So how can we change that perception? Should we incentivize the communities which are living along the river fronts, or should we integrate them into the development plan? How can this be done? Thank you.
Very nice and a very large question. I mean, of course, for the seamless corridor, basically multimodal transport is necessary. So I think you have to reduce the whole logistic cost, then you have to do that also. And I can tell you that was a kind of central idea of Honorable Prime Minister. I had a chance to meet him. I was, as I told you, I was secretary. So I had gone to look at the Gujarat Maritime Board and along with the minister, and we met him. And that was something is central and which is happening through several projects, the railway, road, ship, how you can bring together so that people have seamless travel. So that is something certainly a doable thing worth doing. And maybe some of the specific projects Mr. Gautam will tell you about what is happening, but I think lots of these things are happening. And I think this ministry also is looking at some of the smaller things, not only the large cruise. So when I talked about the Earth Ganga, that the initiative coming from the shipping sector was basically to look at the local community, maybe fishermen, maybe this thing, and can they use the smaller boats and all that. So can we develop some smaller terminals to help them in transferring or transporting this thing. So you see, if you look at the overall financial side, perhaps it will not give you too much of money. But this also actually brings a kind of positivity about the sector. Otherwise, as you rightly said, this Astha versus development, I mean, some places, there are places where people see a very large cargo going, they say that we are commercializing river Ganga and forgetting our holiness and all that. So I think these kind of things also come. When we had a very luxury cruise being done, I mean, there were all kinds of views coming, and this also comes. So I think technologically you have to do a lot of infrastructure to do this multimodal connectivity. That is necessary even from the economic point of view. But while doing that, you have to also look at who are the river users or the local community or traders. Can we make it easier for them to transport through this mode? Again, I think I have a very clear feeling, though it is environment friendly, cost effective, everything, but ultimately we have to be realistic. You will not be able to transfer everything into this. So your targets, your vision, everything has to be a little realistic. Because see, there are other options also. 100 years back, 200 years back, some of those options were not there, so everything was happening here. So I think the convenience is very important for people, how they transport this thing. So that's where when we are looking at inland waterways, we have to also look at, and then what Professor Tare also said, we have several rivers, small rivers. In fact, I am very happy the small river is taking a lot of discussion nowadays, and there are conferences to talk about small rivers. When we started, I think 2020, talking about a small river formally from NMCG, I think now it has really developed, lots of research is happening. So I think there will be possibility, everything need not be at the national scale. There could be a small waterways. And I can tell you, if we dive deeper into our tradition, there will be some traditional such waterways existing earlier, which would have been lost. So I think that there is a lot of possibility of actually getting into that kind of research also and generating some options for that. Maybe others also can share.
Sir, I think it was quite an interesting and very engaging discussion with the audience. I must thank the audience also for being so proactive. गंगा की या हमारी नदियों की आस्था केवल पूजा करने से ही आस्था में हमारा विश्वास नहीं हो जाता, उनको स्वच्छ रखना भी एक आस्था होनी चाहिए. तो जब वो उस तरह की आस्था होगी कि हम उनको निर्मल गंगा बनाएंगे, और नदियों में से अगर इकोनॉमी कनेक्ट नहीं होगी तो ना उसमें फ्लो रहेगा ना नदियाँ रहेंगी. तो इकोनॉमी और सस्टेनेबिलिटी दोनों बड़ी इम्पॉर्टेंट हैं, और ये सब आप जैसे रिसर्चर्स को दर्शाना है, आप जैसे रिसर्चर्स को आगे बढ़ाना है. वी आर वेरी थैंकफुल टू दी पैनल who have highlighted the use of technology, the reduction, the circular economy aspect of it, the reduction, the reusability, the recyclability aspects, and all this is very important for the economy as well as sustenance of our rivers. So thank you very much, Professor Tare sir, Shri Mishra ji, and Mr. Ashutosh Gautam, and thank you very much for the audience to have sustained and being here in a very traditional manner. We would like to just thank our speakers, and we have a sort of a nautical memento to be given. And may I now request Dr. Sanjeev Ranjan sir to kindly come up on stage and help us out with this last
honor to get
इधर से आ जाइए
सर. हम लोग नीचे आते हैं. आप
may I request sir to hand over the memento and the recently launched India Maritime Report 2005-2026, the latest report on India Maritime opportunities. It was recently published. So a big round of applause. There is a nautical element to the whole event. Thank you for coming down, sir. May I now request sir to hand it over to Mr. Gautam and Professor Tare. The barcode or the QR code for this India Maritime Report, it's a voluminous 400-page report. So this is available outside the QR code. You can download it and go through it. It covers all the sectors of our maritime economy and the opportunities. Dr. Sanjeev Ranjan sir has also contributed to this in many ways. He has written 2 articles, very enriching articles. One is on how the growth story captured in the MIV, Maritime India Vision, and Maritime Amritkal Vision, how does it relate to what has been done and what is yet to be done, and his very passionate topic of maritime heritage. So we are thankful, sir, that your contributions,
sir,
and we look forward for your continuation.
आपको ये भेजना भी पड़ेगा, अपने पास मत रख लेना.
ये बहुत देर से मिलता है, टाइम लगता है इसलिए आने में. इससे ले ये ऑफिशियल फोटोग्राफ
ये ले ले.
A big round of applause for the audience also. Thank you very much.
हाँ बिल्कुल बैरेज के आप स्ट्रीम में ही है सर, बिल्कुल.